On the housing crisis, earlier this year, we told you about a surge in calls to the ForKids Hampton Roads housing hotline. This as more families struggle to pay rent and keep the lights on. And now community leaders say the crisis has not let up. Jemiah Beatty looks at what families are facing and how organizations are working to keep up with demand.
ForKids CEO tells me the organization is still seeing a high volume of calls. Over the last 3 months, nearly 20,000 calls have come into the hotline, a 27% increase from this time last year.
You know, these are working people that still can't pay the bills. So all of us have to come together and really support.
And those calls are not tapering off. Thaler McCormick, CEO of ForKids, says data from the housing crisis hotline shows nearly 20,000 calls from Hampton Roads families to the crisis hotline. When 13 News Now spoke with leaders about the hotline earlier this year, it had received about 1,800 calls in just the first 2 weeks of January. McCormick says that continued demand is concerning.
What's worrying me is that last year we started to see a small dip of the people calling us that were homeless.
McCormick says her team has started to see small wage increases, but says the cost of living is still outpacing many families.
When we have rent assistance requests skyrocketing, very quickly that is now going to move into homelessness assistance. And our homelessness system simply does not have the resources.
McCormick says the housing crisis is no longer just impacting the elderly or people living with disabilities, but the global workforce. She says more working families are now struggling to stay afloat, but she says there is some hope. McCormick says some landlords are now allowing renters to split rent payments, giving families more flexibility.
Our eviction prevention team is really working with landlords to encourage them to accept rent payments twice a month. So that can really help. So there's a lot of little ways that everybody can be a part of the solution.
In Chesapeake, Jemiah Beatty, 13 News Now.
Well, leaders at ForKids say they're hopeful some of this year's new legislation could help families stay focused. McCormick says one change extends the pay or quit period from 5 days to 14 days, which gives renters more time before possible eviction.